Here's everything you need to do to fully evo up a Bennedict Mathurin from Sapphire all the way to Diamond. Let's get into it. So, I've actually sold my Bennedict Mathurin because he's going for quite a bit of MT, but the guy is an absolute beast. So I'll show you guys which one we're talking about here, so most of you guys should know. Is going to be this Shades of Bennedict Mathurin. He is a shooting guard on the Pacers and is pretty, I guess, expensive in terms of many of these cards, but you can still pick up the Sapphire one. I would say for relatively cheap. It's not exactly like super cheap, but around 15k MT. So Bennedict Mathurin is a steals and points evo. It starts off with 25 points and 5 steals, and then you move on to an evo where you get Ruby. You have to then get 10 steals, which is a little bit more, and you have to get 50 points, and then the final one to go from Amethyst to Diamond, you have to get 100 points and 25 steals. So a total of 35 steals, and obviously that's not the most fun thing for a lot of people, but obviously if you look at this first Bennedict Mathurin, I mean, he's obviously nothing insane, but honestly, as you kind of get up, he starts to get a little crazy until you get all the way up to, you know, his Diamond. Now, as you can see, he's pretty rare on the auction house. Not too many people are going ahead and evoing him up. You can see even as this Amethyst, I mean, the guy's got an 84 shot 3, 90 driving dunk. He's got some pretty solid defense. His speed is crazy, and he gets some nice Hall of Fame matches like Fast Twitch. And then all the way up at the Diamond here, he gets a crazy badge, in my opinion, in Hall of Fame catch and shoot, along with some other really good gold badges, and he gets that crazy 84 shot 3, 90 driving dunk, great playmaking, and really it's a great all-around game in general. That's why you want him. But obviously spending 15k and then selling him for 50 is a lot cheaper, so we kind of can talk about what's the, I guess, best methods to go ahead and get this evo done. So the first thing that I recommend is you throw your Bennedict Mathurin in there at the shooting guard position. I did a few tests running him at the shooting guard and the small forward, but I kind of liked it a lot better running him as a 2, in my opinion. It's just, I don't know, I had a better time. And then you're gonna want to go to your coach, and if you have the ability to, don't go out there and buy a coach just to buy a coach. But what I found is whenever I'm running guys like this, like head coaches like that have perimeter centric, 7 seconds, anything like that, even balance sometimes can be a little bit weird. Whenever I'm running ones that aren't specifically for defense, I kind of struggle a little bit to get steals, obviously. But what I've just noticed is that throwing in a coach like Mike Malone, where you get better lateral quickness, better perimeter defense, it just kind of helps across the board. And for Mathurin specifically, you get some better things. Like you would get what I think Hayward's getting, where you get some higher strength, some higher lateral quickness, better defensive consistency, which is always super huge, and better perimeter defense, which is all around pretty good. If you also are just super struggling with it, because let's be honest, Mathurin only having a 73 steal for most of it actually makes it pretty tough. I was struggling a little bit. If you really want to, you can go ahead and pick up a nice shoe boost and go to like the MT shoe lab and just add whatever you need. There's pass perception. There's also just obviously perimeter defense, lateral quickness, and steal that you can add onto a shoe to really help him out. I don't think it's going to make the greatest of differences, but if you're really struggling and you just need some sort of last hope, I think it can help a little bit. It'll be okay. So what I recommend is going into a certain types of games. Now, there's a few game modes you can do that I think are going to be pretty nice. Domination can be all right if you're okay with playing a full game. I'm personally not, so I don't do this method. But what it does allow you to do is go down to the semi-pro difficulty, the lowest that's right now available in my team, and play a lot of pretty decent games. And you can kind of set it up in your favor by picking up point guards that you personally feel are going to be a little bit easier to strip than other ones. Like, for example, you don't want to keep running up against Curry every single game because you're not going to strip the guy all that often, we'll say. But maybe you think, actually, Mike Conley's not exactly the easiest either. Who has Tyrese Halliburton's actually relatively easy because he's so much taller. Corey Joseph's a pretty easy guy to rip on the Pistons. Even the Rockets actually aren't too great because Kevin Porter Jr. is traditionally like a shooting guard, and it's actually pretty easy kind of steal for him as well. You obviously want to avoid Luka. CJ McCollum on the Pelicans also really hard. The Wizards are kind of weak as well. That's starting point guard with Monte Morris right now. And I really like, for some reason, stealing against Terry Rozier. He always drops the ball. I don't know why, but the dude just always just lets me have it. So that's kind of what I do. So That's kind of like a general thing, and I'll show you some defensive settings if you want to do that. Clutch time single player is also one of my favorite modes to do it because you can control who you're going up against for the most part. If you run, for example, Bennedict Mathurin at your shooting guard and then run 4 lower rated guys for your point guard, small forward, power forward, and center, you will also get matched up against lower rated point guards, small forward, power forwards, and centers, and there'll be, you know, golds, emeralds, things like that. Pretty low rated cards for you to go up against. So I also really like clutch time. And you kind of do the same kind of method. Triple threat's also pretty good, especially if you're on the lower difficulties. Once you're starting to get up, you know, into superstar and like things like that, maybe avoid it. But my personal favorite one actually is the challenges section right here, because they have these skills challenges, and I was, as you can see, I'm at 7 out of 10. I've actually been doing a few bit of these because what it allows me to do is if I get fouled out with Bennedict Mathurin, I can just end the game by finishing whatever the challenge is on these. So for example, I really like this inside scoring one because I did this one with Osume Dang as well. I did both Evos at the same time. So what this allowed me to do was take Dang at the same time as Mathurin and then kind of just cheese up essentially the post moves. So you match up against LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier. That's kind of how I found out that I could strip him pretty easy. Because LaMelo also has really long arms, so it's easier to bump into LaMelo. He does have a pretty high ball handle, but it's easy to get those bump steals. So that's kind of what I like to do. This one, and then all you have to do is get 4 post moves, so like 5 post moves, 5 post fades, and then the game finishes wherever you are in the game. And then if you don't finish the game, you are playing a semi-pro game for 12-minute quarters, 4 quarters. It's a lot of time to be playing in one game, for sure. Like, not too many people are going to be wanting to do that, but it's a semi-pro game that lasts a really long time, and you can kind of pick your poison. Like, you can go against the mid-range guys for Jalen Brunson, although this one's just 5 made shots. I don't recommend that one. I also don't recommend too highly this one, although Devontae Graham's pretty loose with the ball. This playmaking one, once you get 5 assists, it goes over, but you're going against the Nuggets. Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs are both decently easy to strip as well, but once you get 2 steals, this one ends, so it's a little bit iffy as well. But all around, I would say pick your poison. Aside from this basketball IQ one, because you just play a 1-minute quarter game and just have to get 0 turnovers, it's a little bit weird. But these are why I recommend you do most of your grinding. And I'm going to go into this 1-minute quarter one just so I can finish it. Relatively easy. And then once you're in the game, you're going to want to go to your defensive settings. These are my general defensive settings. I'll just scroll through them really quick just in case anybody wants to copy my exact defensive settings. Pause it, slow down the video, whatever you need to help you out. But what I like to do, as you can see up in the top left, it says L1, R1. We're going to hit R1. So moving over to the right one, and we have Monte Morris here, and then we're just going to change our matchup so that Bennedict Mathurin is guarding him. You can also do this in game by hitting L1 or this button on your controller. If you need a visual, you hit this button, and then you just hit circle or whatever button pops above Mathurin's head for where you're running him, and then you switch him onto the point guard, and then he'll also guard the point guard. So now what do we do when we're actually in the game? So when you're actually in the game with Bennedict Mathurin, you're going to want to call a half court press. If you don't want to do that, you just hit left on the D-pad, it pulls up, and look for a half court press or half court trap. I like switching it between a half court trap and a full court trap sometimes just to get some of those bumps. And essentially all you're looking to do is if the AI that you're, I guess, running with is bumping the guy with the ball in his hand, you are essentially just going to run and bump steal it. Now, if I'm being honest, Bennedict Mathurin doesn't do this the most just because the ball doesn't gravitate towards his hands. He doesn't have glove. He doesn't have intercept. He doesn't have the steal animations or badges that we want, which is kind of tough. Really tough, actually. I was having some trouble with this Bennedict Mathurin compared to like Abaji and other guys. But what it does allow you to do is get some nice easy bumps. Also, what you want to do, if there isn't anybody bumping it, what I like to do is wait for crossovers to happen. So for example, I'm going to wait at the half court line. And what I do, because every single time you run at the hand with the ball with some of these other guys, they will do a crossover immediately. So what I like to do is start running towards that ball hand, but then switch last minute over where they're going to cross it over, because they do cross it over and you can get those steals pretty easily. Now my camera's about to die. There it goes. So I don't have that anymore, but that's kind of my general steal method. If you need some more helps with steals, I will link in the description down below my steal method video where I go fully in depth, and you guys can see some more things instead of just these generic clips that I'm throwing up for you. But that's generally how I get my steals for my evos. It's overall not too bad, and you can have some pretty decent fun doing it. So let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. Like the video if you did enjoy, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.